Hope Channel, changing lives.
Hello, good evening. It's a lovely, beautiful Tuesday evening, and the program is Love at Home. I want to wish you a very happy new year because it is the first Tuesday in the month and it is our first episode. So I welcome you and I say thank you very much for always being there for us. You are a special guest. We appreciate your contributions, your suggestions that you usually send to us to help us improve our programs. From all the crew from Hope Channel Ghana, we say Happy New Year to you. And congratulations that both of us were able to join and to be part of 2023. Well done. Today we want to say that we are so happy because we are going to have a very interesting topic. But before I do that, I am your host, Efia Sewa Mansa. Let's quickly look at my special guest for today. And I have with me Dr. Mrs. Patience Yamwa, who is a lecturer at the Valley View University. My dear, good evening.
Fine evening.
How are you?
I'm fine by grace. Yourself?
By God's grace.
We thank
How
God.
was the route?
Oh, it's been good.
School has resumed,
Yes,
right?
School has. We are now getting into registration, so registration is now opening for students. Yes.
That's good.
Yes, yes.
That's good. My other special guest is Pastor Ike Donko, the Executive Secretary for Meridian Ghana Conference. He's not new on this program. He's a father on Love at Home. Pastor, good evening.
Good evening,
Pastor, you are brightening.
Thank you.
I can't say if you are young or you are old.
Well, it's the blessings of the Lord.
Praise be to God.
Hallelujah.
I want to thank you very much and also remind you that you can watch us live on Facebook, on YouTube, and also send in your comments through 0559-680066. Let me remind you that beginning a new year is an opportunity to begin to do or build what must be built or be repaired. If you couldn't do that last year, you have the opportunity to do it this year. And that is why today we are discussing beginning well. Yes, the topic is beginning well. How do you understand that? Stay tuned as we go straight and have our discussions. Let me start with you, my dear. Dr. Mrs. Yamwa. What comes to mind when we say beginning well?
Okay, so when we speak of beginning well, we actually take it as a new opportunity that has been granted.
Okay.
You also see it from an angle whereby you are given an opportunity, as I said, for you to rethink and rebuild whatever you have or whatever you may have seem not have been able to achieve. We also look at new beginning as an opportunity for you to take inventory or stock of your life. And when we say inventory, most of the times we look at it from one angle. We normally look at it from, spiritual. But what the comprehensive assessment I'm talking about has to do with all aspects of your life.
Okay.
And then I will also say that when you say new beginning or new start, you are looking at an upgrade from an old self to a new self.
Oh,
yes.
That's great. That is very thorough. Pastor,
Yes.
you are coming from the spiritual side. How should we explain or how should we take beginning new to mean?
Well, it is very important to have a very good beginning because it is said that when you do not begin well, definitely you can never have a good end. And therefore, it is very important to have a very good start. But to have a good start, apart from what my sister said, taking stock and all that, you also need to understand that we did not fly from the moon to be here on this earth. we are created by somebody, a divine being, God for that matter. His name is Jehovah Elohim. In fact, without him, whatever we do, we are unable to achieve. And therefore, to begin well will also mean that putting the God factor into everything that we do and whatever plans that we have or we have put in place.
This is wonderful. Pastor, let me come to you again. What are some practical things we should do for us to really see that we are beginning well?
Well, generally speaking, people see, especially a new year, as a period where everybody wants to have a new start or a new beginning. For which reason, what you see people do is that since most of Ghanaians are religious people, either Christians or Muslim, what have you, when the year is ending for us to enter into a new year, you see people moving here and there, you know, to go have all night, which is popularly tagged or dubbed crossover, okay, or jumping over, or flying over, or limping, or whatever you see. You see signposts all around, and you see people, you know, running for these programs. What do they go there to do? People believe that if you are part of such programs and activities, it will fortify you spiritually to have a very good beginning. And so people go to receive anointing oil, some go to receive, you know, holy water, some go for pastoral bath, some go for, you know, prophecies, to prophesy on their lives. It will be well with you. The year is going to be a year of prosperity. And they shout amen, they come home fortified and blessed, and they think that that is all. And people also, you know, non-Christian will also want to go to where they hold their belief to receive some, you know, talisman, some juju, so that they can also be protected here and there. So depending on where your belief is, or where you believe, what you believe in, people want to take steps to make sure that they have a very good beginning. But you see, it is more than having these, you know, to take these steps. Practically, there are things that you need to do after receiving these blessings, what have you. You need to also sit down, like my sister said, to have an introspection of your life. You need to really sit down and plan to making sure that you are really beginning well, because all those blessings and what have you that we're thinking about, they are not to, let me say, it should be a process. In fact, even if God is blessing you, that blessing does not come at a go. Okay, it's a continual blessing. It means that you must work at it so that the blessings will be renewed every morning.
Okay.
According to Lamentation chapter 3, verse 20 to 23, that even the blessings of the Lord are not to be received in stock and then you'll be using it gradually. Okay? You will not hoard them. You have to work at it, making sure that these blessings are renewed every day and every morning.
Wow.
But not only spiritual aspect, you need to also take, you know, cognizance of the fact that there are practical things that you need to do to also augment the for God's blessings, to augment what you would do in order to have a successful, you know, beginning.
Thank you very much,
end.
Pastor. And that is why I come to you, Mrs. Yamoa. What are some of these practical things? Because I remember you mentioned taking stock.
Yes.
What are some of the things I should be doing?
Okay, so you see, wanting to do something new, most of the times it's a mindset.
Okay.
So the first thing is you need to set your mind right. If you set your mind right, I'll say that all other things will follow by the grace of God, as Pastor has already, you know, made us aware that we didn't come from somewhere. So you need to have that mindset. Now, after you are sure, you have made that conscious effort that, yes, I want to make something new, then you need to have a plan. And the plan that I'm talking about is you need to have, your plan should be so specific that it leaves no room for interpretation.
Okay.
In other words, the plan shouldn't be too general that when you get along, the way, you are like, it's okay, let me just, go the other way. So you should have specific plans. That leaves no room for interpretation. Now, when you do that, you are also supposed to make sure that those plans that you have are measurable and attainable. Most of the times, what happens is that, you want to start big. So we dream big. I want to do this, I want to do that. But in actual fact, those are not measurable. In other words, you can't evaluate. Anything that you cannot measure means that evaluation becomes a problem. But you should be able to set goals that are able to, allow you to evaluate at the end of the day. And then also, when you have been able to come up with your specific goals and then you know that they are attainable, then you need to, I always say this, write them down. It's very, very important. Sometimes like, it's in my mind. But if you really, these are practical things that we need to do. Always write them down. Post it somewhere whereby it serves as a constant reminder for you. When you take some of these steps and you personalize it, at the end of the day, you see that it serves as a roadmap for you to achieve something bigger. And of course, you don't leave the God factor out.
Yeah.
These are practical things that I believe when we do can help us achieve new things.
Wow, thank you very much. Pastor,
Yes.
must I change my attitude? Because I'm in the new year.
Definitely, you have to change it. But before you change your attitude, you need to also sit down to know that what you did in the past, was it in the right direction? With the attitude that you have now, lead you to attain, what you want to. And that is why I want to add to what she said in a different dimension that before you do this planning, you need to know where you are coming from.
Yes.
Because you forget where you are coming from, you will not be able to find your route. And therefore, take stock of your life, what transpired maybe previously in 2022. What did I do wrong? Where did I excel? And then whilst you are celebrating your achievement, you also will want to know why you fail in other areas and get reasons why and then get solutions to them. Okay. Now, in trying to do this, you don't have to get stuck in the pain of your failures. Many people are unable to do new things, because they get stuck in the pain of their failures, right? So you have to know two things. The pain that you went through, your failures, should not be your master. Rather, it should be your teacher.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
What you did and did not go well should be a teacher to you, so that you have, in your planning, you have a new way of doing those same things or doing it better. Like I said, because it is new year, people want to have new beginning. That beginning that you want to have may come in two ways. It could be a new in origin or new in form. New in origin means that something you have never tried hands on, you want to try it this time round to make sure you get in different results, right? And new in form also means that something you have been doing, but you are not doing it right. This time round, you want to do it in a different way so that you can achieve a better result. So either way, you are doing new things. So this effort must be put in place in order to be able to achieve. The new year itself does not bring anything new to you per se until you take these steps that we are talking about.
This is interesting. Doc, let's bring it to the family. The program is Love at Home.
Yes.
What is the significance of this? how does it bring the family together? What are some of the things families should change or adapt to bring love and peace at home?
You see, as I made mention earlier on, it creates that opportunity for you to start afresh. And the significance of the new year creates that opportunity for families to come together and to plan. One of the most important thing I've actually come to recognize or to, to understand is when New Year comes, automatically it's like there's a new air around you. And so it gives you that opportunity for you to set things right. And so the significance of the new year in family is that, first of all, it allows you to take stock of relationships. And this relationship we are talking about is between husband and wife, between your children, between extended family, and all other relations, that you have. And so that is one of the most important things, that it allows you to take stock so that it will help you eventually know what went wrong. And in knowing what went wrong, it doesn't just end in what went wrong, but what did we do that contributed to this not being right? And then it also gives you that avenue for you to also put things right or set things right. And then, as I said, when it is a collaboration amongst all the family members, you see that no one goes without the other. We become each other's keeper. But sometimes what happens is that in the family, the mother has a different thing going on, father has a different thing going on, children are also elsewhere. It doesn't really make it a family goal. But I'm talking about having a family goal. What that entails is that if, let's say this year, I want to lose weight, for instance, it shouldn't be...
About me? Look, why are you talking about me?
Okay, it's just an example. Okay, so for instance, if I want to lose weight, for instance, it shouldn't be only my problem. It should be a family problem, because we are family. So what happens? We don't just wait and say that, okay, she's the one who has added on weight, so let her go do exercise. The family comes together and say, okay, what can we do? So every morning, maybe we do 5 minutes, 10 minutes exercise. When you do that, everybody becomes a stakeholder. And that is what really the new year is supposed to bind us together. It's supposed to bind us together so that we are able to move forward. And of course, with God being, in the midst of all these things, everything should be able to go. But it should be a conscious effort.
Yes.
A very, very, conscious effort that we should do.
This is wonderful. Pastor, please start up for me. What should families do? What should we do?
Right. Like I said earlier on, apart from people going to churches and all that, we've also witnessed that New Year has been a period for family reunion.
Okay.
Some people even travel as far back to their hometown and what have you, their family. Some will go for holiday somewhere to chill, to have fun, to do all these things, And it's interesting. But it should not end with having fun, because at the end of it, you have a life to live to making sure that you succeed at the end of the day. Therefore, for families, let me categorize family cycle so that we can really look at it, we can really understand it very well. We have 3 major family cycles. Okay, we have the beginning stage, which is establishment stage or period of establishment, which takes care of when you get married and continue until the first child is born.
Okay.
Is the first stage.
Okay.
And the second stage, which is the expanding stage, that is when the first child is born until the last child leaves the house.
That is wide.
That is the widest, stage.
Yeah.
And within this stage, you can have about 5 stages within that stage alone.
Yeah.
The childbearing, the preschool, the college, the whatever, they are all there. But at least I'm considering the 3. And the last and the final stage will be the contracting stage, where the last child leaves the house and it is left with
the two of you.
As you started.
So in the planning, it will differ from your family, the stage in which you are.
Yeah.
Okay, if it is the husband and wife, then planning will not be so difficult because it is only the two of you. Okay, it is very easy for you to sit down and then see how best you can adjust, and then you move forward. But if you have the expanded one, where many of us falls into, you know, you will get to know that it's a bit complex. You have to factor the children according to their ages, and then in planning, they have to also contribute. You need to consider, you know, their plight.
Yeah.
What they didn't do well, what they did well, and then you consider them in your planning, and also what you expect the children to do, what children will also expect parents to do.
Yeah.
You consider all these things in the planning. And like I said, you also first look at what you didn't do well to your children, and then you see how best you can work it out. And then after you have done this one, you have a plan. Like she said, it should be on paper, okay, so that you can follow through. There should be role assigning, okay. You have to assign role to people. If it is about morning devotion, we didn't do well last year, we want to have a fresh beginning. Assign that duty to one of the family members that is going to be your duty. When it is 5 o'clock, you take the duty, or to bring everyone together so we can have it. And you will do this, you will do that. Assign roles, making sure that everyone will play his role accordingly. And periodically, there must be a time that you evaluate. You don't wait until the year ends before you get to know that you have not done anything. At least a quarterly evaluation will be ideal for families to know whether what the goals you set for yourself from the beginning of the year, you are on course, or you need to do an adjustment to whatever plans that you have had from the beginning. So for such families, that is it. When it is the contracted family, you'll be looking more of how you going to retire, where you are going to leave your planning. Maybe you have failed not putting things right, and you are getting closer to retirement. You need to begin doing new things altogether, so that you will not retire and then get stranded or miserable. And then it can be very stressful when you retire and you don't have a place to go. And many of, in fact, if you research, it shows that about 50% of workers are unable to build before they go on retirement. And it tells you why many people are stressed up in this part of our world. So these are all to be considered, looking at or based on your
family
type, okay, the category or the stage in which you are. It will inform you what you need to be doing in your planning, so that at the end of the day, it will be said that at least I have really achieved.
Wow. Well, now let's look at the issue of planning and budgeting. Is it important at all? Because now people are saying high prices increase here and there. Is it that we must put pen and paper beside that, or anything goes?
Definitely anything cannot just go.
Okay.
Because we normally say that if you fail to plan, then that means you're actually planning to fail.
Yeah.
So planning and budgeting, I think, is one of the most important things in family life. It's also one of the reasons why sometimes there are a lot of challenges at home, because some of these things are not really done. And so it's like anything goes. And beginning of the year, it's like, okay, let's do this, let's do that. You get to the middle, getting to the end, and you're like, okay, so what happened? You don't really know your lefts and rights. So I'll say that, but you see, when we speak of planning, there are 3 things involved in this planning. The first is you need to set your goals and objectives in planning. Okay. So you set your goals and then your objectives. After you have set your goals and your objectives, you need to put strategies in place. So strategies that is going to help you achieve your set targets. And then you are supposed to have an overall plan that is going to help you coordinate all these activities and all these, plans that you have put in place. Okay. If you do one and you leave the other, so I have an objective. But the issue is, what strategies are you putting in place to get to that objective?
Please calm down. bring a scenario
Okay.
and give us all the deliverables. We want to
Okay.
understand you.
Okay. All right. So, for instance, this year, the family decides that we want to, let's say, go on a trip. So that is a goal. That's an objective. Maybe you want to go to Dubai, for instance, for holidays or for Christmas. You have passed the first test, which is setting the goal and the objectives.
Objective.
The second one is strategies.
Okay.
What strategies are you putting in place to help you achieve your goal? Now remember, your goal is to get to Dubai. How do you get to Dubai? At least we don't fly to Dubai, and I know you understand the
Yes,
flying I'm
yes,
talking
yes.
about. You can't fly to Dubai. You need to budget for it.
Yeah.
You need to actually plan when, how, and even how everything is going to be. So these are practical things that you're supposed to put in place. So knowing that you want to go to Dubai, at the beginning of the year, the family decides that, okay, this year, this is the project for the family. That will entail that we will not be celebrating birthdays with birthday cakes and all that. Why?
Probably.
Because it is finances.
Yeah.
So we are going to keep that. That is a strategy.
Yeah.
You will also look at, okay, there are some expenses we are going to cut because we all have a common aim, which is we want to go to Dubai. So you need to put specific things in. That's why I spoke earlier on of specific goals. Setting goals that leaves no room for interpretation.
Yeah.
So that is the strategies that you have, that we are going to do A, B, C, D, so that we'll be able to achieve the goal. Then the third one is you are supposed to have an overall plan that is going to help you coordinate all these activities. So yes, the goal is there, the strategies are there, but how are we going about it? Organizing and all that. All these things come to bear and all these things come to play. And so as a family, when you have a goal, as Pastor said, everybody should be assigned a responsibility. Everybody should know what he or she is supposed to do. When that happens, it helps you actually do evaluation at the end of the year. So at the end of the year, okay, you were to do this, you were to do that. What went wrong? What were some of the challenges that came that couldn't make you, help us achieve that goal? And then at the end of the day also, you are also, on the issue of budgeting, we should have, as much as possible, family budgets. That family budget is going to set the pace for our expenditure for the year. Or else, there will be funeral, mother will buy cloth. There will be a school party, the child will want to go. There will be a new car, daddy will want to buy it. But when we know that, okay, and that the family budget actually comes in when we also know how much we are taking.
That is it.
It's another issue altogether.
That is it.
So if the family is such that everything is transparent, at least we know what father brings, we know what mother brings. Some even have joint accounts, and it works best. So we know that this is what we have. Out of what we have, these are the things that we want to do. What percentage is going into this? What percentage is going to that? Don't forget that we have a larger family who also will need our help.
Very
so
true.
in doing this budgeting, it is not only for the
Your
nuclear
immediate.
family, which is yourself. You also need to think of your in-laws, your
Your extended,
siblings,
your
and all that,
society.
because we believe in that kind of
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
And so if you don't budget well, and if you don't put things in place, it sets the family ablaze to some extent.
Yeah.
And you end up blaming each other for things that, so at the end of the day,
Nothing will be
okay,
done.
nothing is done because you bought this, you did this, but it is because we didn't plan from the very beginning.
This is very interesting. We want to go for a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we continue. But remember to send in your contributions to 0559 680066. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Every individual has a story. Stories of social issues such as infertility.
You did not marry your wife only because she's going to give you a child. You married because you loved her. Whatever comes on your plate, you're ready to accept that.
Abuse, obesity, life struggles, and others can be very frustrating. That is why Real Talk is back again with another exciting season where individuals like you can come into our studio or join us virtually to share your story and experience. To share your story, you can reach us through our WhatsApp number at 0559 680 066, or you can email us at hoptvghana@gmail.com. We say don't lock them away. If you ignore them, they can just get angrier and louder.
You know for a fact that all over the world, if there is any name that is mentioned and that is studied and that people can identify with, whether they believe in it or not, is no other name than the name of Jesus Christ.
When God said He created, He wouldn't say we created. He said, and God created. But within it are three persons.
We bring to you this program, The Sonship of Jesus Christ, because there are some questions that viewers and believers across the world have. Who He really is. And if we say Jesus Christ is the Son of God, what exactly does it mean?
You know, Jesus Christ, though He was flesh like man, He was also God at the same time. But Adam was not God. Adam was a human being like us. He did not have the spiritual aspect of Him like that of Jesus. So in order for us, or like Adam, to inherit the image of God, we must have the Spirit of God.
I am your host, Charles Okinelabi, and it's a pleasure.
Hello, you're welcome back, and thank you very much for staying tuned. The program is still Love at Home, and we are discussing beginning well. Before we left for break, we were discussing the importance of budgeting and planning in the family in this new year, what it does to your family. Pastor, you were saying something before we left, and I want you to chip in with that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, looking at what we went through last year, 2022, every family and every individual really did not have it easy. And if we will be able to move on well or do well for the year 2023, we should all learn lessons from what happened to us last year by putting in very pragmatic measures to be able to take care of some, you know, eventualities and shocks that will come along the line.
You are still talking about budgeting,
That,
right?
yes.
Okay.
That is why it is important that every family this time round will have to go on budgeting.
Okay.
In fact, in this economic crisis, you can't do without proper budgeting, because you should be able to look at where we are coming from and then look at your income and see how best you could budget well to have some, you know, surplus to manage shocks that may come along the line that we cannot foresee now. All right. In Africa, most often, we always complain that our income is so small, meager, that we cannot be on budget. We spend as and when we get and what have you. This is a poor man's, you know, mentality. If you continue to hold this mentality and go by this, in fact, you continue to be poor. And that is why it is very important, and I want to agree with her that bring the family together, assess and know your income level. It is when you know what you receive that it will determine how you will do what you spend. Okay? And in budgeting, you must not have a deficit budget. It must be at least at worst, it should be a balanced budget. But you should have a surplus budget. For this time round, the ideal way to go is to be a surplus budget. Even if your income is 1 cedi, budget in such a way that you will have a surplus so that you can save for an eventuality. Seriously, and I want to stress that maybe myself, my wife and I will have to sit down again because we fell short in this area last year. And when these shocks came, it was just by the grace and mercies of God that we survived it. And we don't want to take chances this year. As I leave this program, I'm going to meet with my wife, and we are going, even though we have started, we are going to do a serious budget to make sure that plans are in place, and we will follow it systematically, making sure that this year, 2023, we are going to make it. I want to implore everyone and counsel everyone that if you have not started, this is the time to begin to sit,
Pastor,
plan,
I cannot imagine the way you are stressing on this.
I'm stressing that one because I know what I went through last year.
But you see, pastors are saying, sleep, God will provide.
You.
So why are you talking about budgeting now? Is it not saying pastors preaching, that don't think for tomorrow? Tomorrow will think of itself.
Prosperity.
What is it? Pastor, you see, people are bringing spirituality and the way they are misinterpreting them is bringing a serious issue. And I like the way you are stressing this point. And I would want you to expatiate it further before I go to Doc to explain the other ones for me.
You know something?
Please go ahead.
We are not only spiritual beings.
Oh, okay.
To be very sincere and candid, we are both flesh and spirit.
That's good.
Okay?
Yeah.
God created us with clay. We were just lying down, helpless, without life. So that is physical.
Okay.
And then God breathed into our nostrils. And that breath of God is the spirit in us. So every one of us, we are both spiritual and physical.
Okay.
Okay. And there is this prolific writer, Ellen G. White, who says that in Desire of Ages, that what human power can do, divine power will never do it.
Okay. All right.
So God has given us power, intellect, to think and to come out with, strategies and plans that will really enhance our lives. If you fail to do that, heaven will not do it.
So in a nutshell, human beings, you have a part to play, and the heavenly beings will also have their part to play, right?
That is correct.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Doc, now, what are practical things that we can do? What are some practical things that we can do?
Okay, so if you look at my submission, it has been really on planning. And we are looking at it from a comprehensive aspect. Most of the times, we plan certain aspects of our lives at the beginning of the year. I was reading an article, and that article from one of the, I've forgotten the name of the university, but what the author made mention of was that only 19% of individuals are able to see through their New Year resolutions at the end of the year. So the question is, where are the others? And the author went on to say that by middle of January, all the New Year resolutions, somebody will say...
You mean by 15th? Just as we are approaching?
It just evaporates.
To thin air.
It evaporates. The reason is some of them are not practical.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are, as if we are forced to make New Year resolutions. That is how I see it sometimes. Everybody has. So you meet someone, what's your New Year resolution? You should be able to say something. So let me cook up something, say something. And he doesn't know whether it's true or not. And that is what is really killing us. And so we should have comprehensive life planning. That means you don't leave any aspect of your life out.
So you are telling us what we should be doing differently.
Yes.
All right.
What we should do differently is the way we have been, just reciting. I say it's a recital of New Year resolutions. This time, right, it should not be a recital, but it should be an intentional, and that's the key word. We need to be intentional about the things that we want to do. Most of the things you've done in the past, they were just by the way. Some of them, someone said it, you liked it, and so you carried it along. But if you are intentional about what you really want to achieve, then you set your mind on it. And then when we speak of, it's like managing an organization. We speak of strategic plans.
Yeah.
When you say it's a strategic plan, that means you plan including every aspect of the organization. You don't leave any aspect out. And so we should also do a strategic plan on our lives. That means from our head to our toe, every aspect. You see, we sometimes we consider budgeting. Sometimes the number one is always, spiritual. I want to be close to God, and we leave it there. The strategies I spoke of as to how to get close to God, that one is, it will just evaporate. We, including even, our social life, we need to plan social lives, because at the end of it, if you are not careful, you mingle with wrong people, you attend wrong parties, you attend wrong programs, and then you forget your New Year's resolution. So what I'm saying is that what we are supposed to do new is to be intentional. That is the number one. Have our own mindset, not a by the way kind of thing. And then also plan your life comprehensively. Don't leave anything out. Another thing I also want to add in doing things right is communicate your goals to someone.
Okay.
And that someone, of course, I'm not talking about someone who is going to discourage you or someone who is going to kill your dreams, but communicate to the right person. Why do we do that? We are social beings. I may have this mindset, along the line, I'm human, I get weak, I get discouraged. There should be someone who will remind me of, Pat, you said you do this. Have you been able to do it? What can I do to help you? These are the kind of people I am talking about that communicate your goal to, aside from writing it and, posting it somewhere, that is for you. It's only you who sees it because it's in your room or it's in your house.
Yeah.
But when you are able to communicate to somebody else, the person becomes a shoulder for you to lean on. When that is also done, another new thing we can also do is that seek for help.
All right.
Seek for help when you see that I had all these things. Something is going wrong and I am not getting it right. Get a professional. Seek help. And, the person will be able to help you assess. Then you are able to put in corrective measures that, okay, at the end of the day, this is what I wanted and this is it. But there's another thing I also want to chip in. Most of the times, the kind of evaluation we do in management, we call it as feedback.
Yeah.
That is, after all is said and done, December or 1st January. Okay, so what happened 2022? We are not talking about feedback kind of, evaluation. We have what you call feed forward and then concurrent.
Okay.
The feed forward simply means that you anticipate that, okay, this is what I have in mind. So you try to play the devil's advocate. This is what I have in mind. But what if? Then you have a contingency plan or you have a plan B for your plan A.
Yeah.
So that is very important. Then concurrent is the kind of evaluation you do whilst, in management, I say whilst your production is ongoing.
It's ongoing.
So whilst your life is ongoing, you try to, take stock and, okay, so at the end of today, I wanted to do this. Have I been able to do it? No, what happened? A, B, C, D crossed my path. Then tomorrow comes. Okay, I recall yesterday, this is what happened. Today, I'm going to make sure that I take a step forward. So if we do that kind of a comprehensive analysis or comprehensive assessment evaluation, it helps us guide our steps. And then let us take our year's plan as a long-term plan. So we know that we have short-term plans, we have, a middle, and then we have long-term plans. normally, long term is supposed to be after 3 years. But because we want to assess for the year, let's take the 12 months as the long-term plan, so that your short-term plans becomes your quarterly assessments. So every quarter, okay? So that means that in having the long-term plan, you should also have what short-term plans. Okay, I want to build a house this year, but in the first quarter, what am I going to do? So you do that assessment. If you wait till December, you see that you couldn't build you couldn't put up the building because you don't even have a land for you to even build on. So then after 6 months, you take that as your medium term assessment, and then you do that. By the end of December or by December, you now can sit back because you've done the feed forward, you've done the concurrent, and then you have feedback. You see that something different will happen. It may not be extreme, but at least the slightest change or the slightest difference that comes at the end of the day serves as an encouragement. You said, okay, I couldn't do O, but at least I was able to do A, B, C, D. That means I did something right. I achieved something. Then you know that come the following year, somebody will say,
start from somewhere.
More vim or more energy will actually be put in because you have started right.
Very true. Wow, this is lovely. Pastor.
Yes.
What should you do differently?
What I want to add to what the discussion so far is that failure is not the falling down.
Okay.
But the staying down.
All right.
Yes.
And I want to encourage everyone, including myself. Don't laugh. It's a serious matter. Failure indeed is not the falling down.
Not at all.
Rather, it is the staying down. The fact that you failed last year is not a good reason for you to think that you are going to fail this year. You need to just get up from where you fell from and then begin to take steps. It could be just one step, but as you begin to plan to take that step, you will see that another step will follow.
That's great.
And gradually, you will get there.
That's good.
And that is why maybe I cannot end my statement without going to some of these polling councils. There is a text in Philippians chapter 3, verse 13 and 14. I love it so much. Paul says that, brethren, maybe let me read.
Okay.
I do not count myself to have apprehended. But one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forward to those things which are ahead. I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. In fact, God has a purpose for every one of us and for every family. It is our duty to plan, making sure that we get to that goal. God is available. He is ready to support us, to assist us in whatever capacity so we can get to the purpose he has for us. And you know in Jeremiah that the purpose of God for us is not to harm us, but to have what? An expected end. That is why for me, I love this topic so much that anyone listening, including myself, we need to begin now to do things differently. You must get up from where you are currently and begin to take new steps. Like she said, you might not know what to do, but learn to consult and also learn to humble yourself. Let's press on and look forward. As we do this, I am very much confident that divine help will come.
Amen.
And augment the little, effort
Yes.
that you put in,
Yes.
and then we can get there.
Amen.
This year should be a year of action
Amen.
for every individual, for
Yeah.
every family.
Wow.
In fact, there is nothing like sluggishness in our dealings.
That's great.
There should be nothing like laziness in our dealings. Every member of the family must be made, to understand that all of us must really work hard, and action should be our, roadmap. Every member. And when we do that, and we are able to maximize the potentials that God has given to us, I can assure us that we will surely get there, because God will augment our effort and we will achieve.
Amen. Thank you. No, your counsel to the to families. You are also a lecturer.
Yes, please.
You have students coming in.
Yes.
Please advise us.
Okay, so I'll first touch on students, since it's my first job. All right, so in class, I always tell my students that you are in school for a purpose. And university life is just about 4 years of your life. There's more ahead after the 4 years. And so stay focused. I always tell them that if you don't do well now,
This is for the freshers, those coming in fresh.
Yes. Yeah, I
Please
mean,
listen. Those continuing and those going in fresh, please listen to your madam.
yes, for fresh and for those that are in the system already, I always tell them that if you don't do well now, you will not have the moral right. So I always ask them, how many of us want to be parents? And you see everybody will raise their hand. And so I always tell them that, okay, if you don't do well, when you become a parent, you will not have the moral right to encourage your child to do what you didn't do, because you are not an example. You know, when I was way younger, my dad was very particular. In fact, he still is very particular about certain things in our lives, academics and all that. And at that age, you are like, what is all this?
Disturbing us.
But you grow to become what you become. You're like, oh, okay. And that oh, okay alone, is just a satisfaction. And you're also able to see on the face of your parents, the joy of them seeing you succeed. Yeah. And so I will urge students that you are in school for a purpose. I always tell them, friendship is good. I mean, we are social beings, so you can't come to school and say that it's only me and my book. If you don't care, if you are not careful, you even go, mad. Yeah. You need to socialize. But where that socialization is not leading you to achieving you, because you are in school, you want to finish, you want to work, you want to be an independent person. But if the kind of associations you have or you are building around yourself doesn't allow you to achieve your goal, or the people that you are with are not encouragers, they are not encouraging you to achieve your goal, then you are defeating the purpose why you are there. So I'll say that I always tell them, befriend your books. And when you do that, you will feel proud of yourself. You should be able to show your set to your child that hey, when I was in school, I was an A student too. So you can't come and play with the family name because your father, your mother was an A student. That alone is what? It's motivation enough. Yeah. But you yourself, mother, father, you only have C, 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 F, F, F. What is there to show for? So make sure that you are able to do what you are supposed to do. And then on family, quickly on family, I'll also say that let's set priorities right. The taking stock, I'll say that sometimes we do it generally, but one thing that has helped me over the years is I call something marriage audit, and that's something I do with my husband. So at the end of the year, we assess, okay, beginning of the year, what went wrong, the relationship, and all that. When you are able to do that, you are able to easily forgive, you are able to easily communicate your issues, and, things actually move on well.
All too soon, our time is up. And I think it is worth discussing this topic. we will continue to be discussing this topic. But let me remind you that it is said that how you start a thing determines its ending. In the same way, how it should end. On this note, I want to remind you that please take cue on some few objectives or lessons as you have discussed here to help you or to enable you try to shape in whatever you are going through in your homes, being it a student, a child, a wife, a husband. At the end of the day, there should be love at home, and that is what we all seek to address. Remember, love is life. Love your family. Do everything possible to create a loving family and a loving home, and enjoy long life. This has been Love at Home, and thank you so much for staying glued. Same time next week, we come your ways. Enjoy your night. Bye-bye.